Hi, this is Dee at Aloha Astro, and today we'll be talking about the full moon that is occurring in the sign of Aquarius. It will be joining Mars in Aquarius. Mars is retrograde at the moment, and this is also called a blood moon because we will be seeing in some parts of the world a total lunar eclipse where the moon appears to turn blood-like red. So it's a very powerful day. Astrologically and astronomically, many people are going to witness the longest eclipse of the century, and I wish I were there to see it, but I'm not in Africa or the Middle East or parts of Asia. Here in the United States, where I am, we won't see that, but we will definitely feel the intensity. Here is the energy report I wrote for today, which I'll read through quickly. Oh, and a quick note that for a limited time, I am doing some recorded video type readings like you are watching right now, where I will look at your chart and tell you what's happening, basically. It is not an in-depth reading of your full natal chart. It's just an update of where these transits are for you and how they may be affecting you. And it's done in a video recorded format and shared through a Dropbox file. So I have a limited amount of time to do these, so I can only do a certain number of them. So if you are interested in having it done, click through on the link here for that 5-day special, You and the Planets Now reading. So today, with full moon in Aquarius, Friday, July 27th, 2018, brings the longest total lunar eclipse in this century conjunct Mars at its closest to Earth in 15 years. Not everyone will be able to see this amazing event when the moon turns red, hence the name blood moon, but we can all feel the emotional intensity a full moon brings. The moon and Mars are part of a T-square aspect pattern with the Sun in Leo and Uranus, the ruling planet of Aquarius, which is in Taurus. Taurus is a fixed earth sign which can be stubborn and slow to change, but it is now under pressure to take action due to Mars and change due to Uranus and the Aquarius moon. Mars is retrograde, which can make change more challenging or bring an issue back from the past, requiring immediate action. I feel, and I'm going to interject right here, the last time we had this Uranian energy in the sign of Taurus was 1934 to 1942. And if you remember any history, we went through a Great Depression in the United States and we entered World War II during that time period. And I really feel like the social conditions are such that if we do not remember our history and take a corrective action now, I think we may be looking at similar things occurring. History literally does repeat itself. And I feel like Mars retrograde is giving people the opportunity to realize their own responsibility in politics, in government, in their attitude and behaviors towards other people and society as a whole, that enable everybody to live peacefully. Taurus energy is about being peaceful, appreciating and enjoying life, having enough of things, being comfortable, being fed, being safe, all of those things that we just take as a given, but are not given to everybody in this world. We've had a long time period in the United States where, you know, we have an abundance of things, and we are almost, I would say, jaded, or we expect that we're going to have a lot of things. And if we have not really learned our lesson in terms of use of power, interaction with other people, and how we treat other people, then I think something's going to have to happen to bring us back to the point of understanding what is important and how vital and necessary it is for people to get along and for people to be part of a whole rather than excluding and separating. So picking back up, the Leo Sun may express more of its shadow side while in opposition to Moon and Mars. Expect impatience and irritability, egotistical, unpredictable, impulsive, radical, and possibly childlike behavior from people. I have the feeling that you'd probably experience this for about 2 days. And then once the moon shifts and moves away from its intensity, its fullness, and moves into Pisces, things will calm down and become more peaceful. But in the meantime, while we have this opposition going on as part of the overall T-square, people might just behave very much out of character, and have a little bit of patience because they're under the intensity of this energy as you are as well. Mars rules the physical body, and while Mercury is retrograde in Leo, quincunx Pluto, and Capricorn, there can be more road rage that leads to injury. I've heard nothing but sirens the last 2 days. Lots and lots of sirens going on for a very long time. So I can tell, that this is having some influence and that it's not quite as safe out there right now. So drive defensively, stay calm. It is better to be late than not arrive at all. For a few days, I have a limited number of recordings. Okay, I don't have to read that because I just told you that. So let's take a look at the chart for the moment of the full moon and eclipse, and take a look at what's going on in here with the aspect patterns. And you can see that this T-square dominates. It stands out very strongly. And the fact that the sun is conjunct the North Node tightly, I feel like whatever changes occur now are likely to become a long-term thing that we have to endure or deal with because of that Taurus energy. And we have a planet of change in that stubborn, persistent, slow growth type of earth fixed energy. And then we have the sign that is ruled by this planet of change. We have a sign that has to do with individuality, change, humanity as a whole, the future. So things that are put in place right now may have a deep karmic significance on the global level, and also on a personal level in your own life, depending on where these planets are to be found right now by transit in your chart. If you are one of the fixed signs, particularly Leo, Taurus, or Aquarius, the changes that occur in your life might be bigger than normal, and the pressure to change might be more than you've experienced before. Scorpio, that's the other fixed sign. You're going to get off the hook a little bit because we don't actually have a grand cross here. We're a little bit outside of the orb of allowance to be creating a box. We just have a triangle, not two of them. So Jupiter in Scorpio, I feel, gives Scorpio sun sign people a little bit of protection, or they get the hall pass. They get to get out of this classroom. Although, of course, if you're a sun sign Scorpio and you have anything in any of these other signs, Taurus, Aquarius, or Leo, then those placements are going to feel the intensity of that T-square. And we've got some favorable stuff. We've got this trine going on between Jupiter and Neptune. Folks, this is prayer. This is hope. This is wishes. This is saving grace. This is taking the higher road and being compassionate and caring for other people, or choosing what is right rather than what you know is not right. So hopefully this is something that affects everybody at some level, especially when they are dealing with major crisis or hard decisions. Do what's right. Choose the high road. Sometimes we make sacrifices for the good of all, or we make sacrifices for our future because we know in the long run it's going to be better. I would love to see everybody no longer be using fossil fuel, but that might be slow in coming. However, if there's a way that you can personally, support helping the planet or making changes in your daily life that are going to make a difference in your impact upon the planet, understand that this T-square is pointing out that we are part of something else. And as such, even though we might feel very independent and unique or alone and want to do things our way or rebel, we are still part of a larger group collective. And I feel that this trine here between Saturn in Capricorn and Uranus in Taurus, we have to be able to make changes to the basic form and structure of society and to the rules. This doesn't mean getting rid of everything that is old. It means repurposing or reusing, recycling, reducing, looking at doing something in a different way that applies more towards our future than what we have right now. So hopefully the generation of children who are entering, leaving college, entering the workforce, and hopefully that they're going to be bringing changes to this planet that make it easier for us as we move forward into the future. We have a nice trine between Venus in Virgo and Pluto in Capricorn. This can bring a lot of passion and intensity out, and sometimes this can actually be a bit excessive, particularly if somebody is being particular. There's a lot of particular energy with Virgo. It's needs oriented. It is very detail oriented, and Pluto intensifies anything that it interacts with. So this trine can lead toward commitment in love based out of need or necessity. It can also lead to a compulsion or an obsession in love or towards something that you love, that you feel or rationalize or justify that you need this, you need that person, you need that drink, you need whatever it is that you might have an attachment to or desire. So an intensification of desire, and it may be based on what appears to be practical needs. And I think on a larger scale, this can help people get through the hard stuff that this T-square might be bringing, in that we're going to be able to see what needs to be done and stick to it and have the willpower or the sense of purpose. There can be an excess of energy here. So if somebody is very attached to something being a certain way and having it be their way, there can be some challenges in dealing with other people if there's no willingness to bend to listening to what everybody else has to say. Mercury is in Leo, and it is also retrograde right now, as Mars is, and they are loosely conjunct by the signs that they are in, and this gives us a feeling of something that needs to be rethought, repurposed, redone, gone over. And if we've made mistakes before, or if there was something not completed before, or if it no longer works and serves the situation, then it might come up for discussion. There's a weak yod in here involving Neptune and Pluto that also enhances the ability to be very determined about something. And I also feel imaginative and creative because of the creativity that Neptune brings when it's in Pisces. The imagination is there, high idealism, and Mercury in Leo is very creative. Leo rules the 5th house of creativity. If we look at basic energy of houses and what Leo and Aquarius rule, which is where we find the sun and the moon right now, the 5th house is creativity, romance, children, competitive sports, gambling, anything that is fun, basically, in being a human being. Anything we create, anything where we're experiencing being with other people in a competitive or playful situation. And Aquarius energy is also very social, but it looks at the larger group. And in the 5th house, we create for the sheer joy of creating something. In the 11th house, we bring the creativity out to the public to be seen and experienced, and it benefits a larger group. And there's a bigger need to share with many people instead of doing it for the enjoyment of just a few. Here we do it for more or greater. So our individual creativity is something that perhaps if you have creative plans or anything that you think you should be bringing forth to the public, it may be time to do that. And if it's something that you've put on the shelf in the past creatively, bring it back out. Look at your manuscript and edit and rewrite, or pick up those paintbrushes again. Or you said you wanted to start a blog. The 11th house rules the friends, groups, the audience, the stage, the gallery, and the internet, because that's a place where people gather. So get busy on something creative to help, I would say, distract you from the pressures of change, and perhaps change that might not be entirely to your liking with this T-square. So let's take a look at the Sabian symbol for right now. We round up to 5 degrees of Aquarius. A council of ancestors is seen implementing the efforts of a young leader, the root foundation of past performances which power and sustain whatever decision is made in a crisis by an individual. The whole past of mankind stands behind any individual effort, especially in times of critical decisions. The endeavor of the priests who built the California missions had behind it the whole past of Catholic proselytizing, i.e., the attempt to bring the good news to all people of the earth. Every individual is far more dependent upon the strength of their ancestors' achievements, or oppressed by their failures and lack of vision, than they usually believe. This can mean a hidden foundation of individual strength, or the inertia of a tradition unable to transcend its limited origins. So, this is the last symbol. It suggests that in many situations, reliance upon precedents will enable the aspirant to greatness to tap the power of their deepest roots. Reliance upon precedents. When we look back at now and the Capricorn energy that's very strong, Saturn is duty, authority, responsibility, the patriarchal energy, the idea of the government, and Pluto brings crisis, transformation, upheaval, the desire for power. It's in Capricorn. So to be able to rely upon, if we look back in history now as we have Mercury and Mars retrograde, I think society needs to look back and see where our mistakes were when we had a misuse of power, and what did it take to stop those things, and can we do that before we actually enter into things that need or require extreme actions or responses? What can we do right now before things get to crisis proportion? So I think that's it, and be safe, please. On the road is not really the safest time to be traveling unless you need to travel somewhere, and allow yourself extra time. Things will be easier and quieter 2 days from now. Let's take a quick look over here. Okay, 29th in the evening, it looks like that is when the moon shifts for us into Pisces. On July 29th, Sunday. So we enter a more peaceful zone on Sunday evening, and then a start to the new week and a new month coming up ahead, also with some calm restored after the intense energy that we have right now. You see that T-square with Mars will still be present. However, there are other aspects that will alleviate some of that, and we will no longer be under the intensity of a full moon. The moon will be beginning to wane. So be safe, and if you are on vacation, enjoy and rest up, because once we get into the third week in August and we come out of Mercury retrograde, we're going to be getting back into the swing of things. And even this Mercury retrograde, I feel, has great potential for a lot of work, because we've got a lot of creativity going on. So old creative things might be what you go back to during that Mercury retrograde, and that should keep you busy as we go through the first 3 weeks of August. Take care and be safe.